we think the poor bird, while it was in the migration route, got blown off or maybe injured and basically just got stuck there. And just like helicopter cannot just land in Westkill Mountain, Brandt needs open space to take off, right? Plus, we later found out it was injured, so kind of jump in. So it was just stuck there all the time for about a week.
Wow.
And sorry to do this to you, but I think that rules out presence of your favorite topic, mountain lion, at least on Westkill. Because if it was there, we would not have a story.
Yes, of course, but maybe the mountain lion wasn't interested. So let's. He was already full and hibernating, I guess. Mountain lions hibernate in the winter, whatever.
They do? Okay, learn something every day. So basically, that's kind of the background, how we knew that it was there, and basically the beer brought us to the valley. And if I remember correctly, Westkill just kind of became the mountain.
The bushwhacks were some of the worst days I've ever had in the mountains, or life, really.
And I tell people all the time, never underestimate the Catskills. You can't underestimate them.
Why the Catskills is such a great place for trout.
It was really the development of New York State. Catskills were responsible.
Now you're listening to Inside the Line, the Catskills.
All right, let's begin. So you guys, Yana and Jake, thank you on the new canister. That was awesome. Yana, great job. And Jake, great write-up on that. Very good stuff. Yana, you said you had something about the canister today?
Sure. Thank you, Sash. I guess two parts. One of them kind of really relates to your last episode when you talked about hiking Ashokan High Point and some of the historical aspect of it. I just wanted to give a plug to not one, but two articles we had in the canister about Ashokan High Peak. My friend John Stasser wrote both of them. One of them was more of a formal historical profile, but the other one was more, I think it was called Of Caves and Cavemen. So it was basically kind of the legends and the lore about Ashokan High Point. Apparently there are caves and people who are hiding in them, allegedly, some legends. Anyways, I want to say it was published in 2020, spring and summer issues. So that was kind of my plug to anyone who was interested about the historical stuff you were discussing at the last episode. I guess that was episode 58, 57. I'm not sure.
58. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
It's
58. Yeah, my stupid winter one that I hated so much.
Not stupid at all.
You guys are very familiar with the history of the Catskills. I mean, Jake, you were up there with me. Do you remember seeing those big ancient cairns that we were walking by and stuff? Did you any thoughts about that?
No, was that up on the side of Ashokan the other day?
Correct. Yeah.
What you're talking about? Yeah, I just assumed that was some agriculture that had been going on back in the day, and people piled up.
No, that's correct, Jake. That's what I've been told. It's very, very different perspective if it's Indian heritage, Native American heritage, or if it's from the Americans building their crops and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looked like that highway there is very well built. The Canopy Brook Trail, what's now the Canopy Brook Trail. So there's several foundations in there. There's a lot going on historically. I don't know the full story, but I'm sure somebody does.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at that. I'll plug that in the canister 2020 summer. If you got any more about Ashokan High Point, Yana, please don't hesitate to send them, because that's an awesome historical place. Ashokan High Point, definitely.
Spring and summer.
Yes.
So
okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Awesome. And also, so with reading the new canister, I decided to check out some statistics from the previous years coming up to this year, and I was very, very curious. So I did some math and stuff like that, and I came up with this math. So from 2017 or 2012 to 2017, when I became a 3,500 club member, when I finished, there was a 28% increase in hikers and finishers. From 2017 to 2022, a 306% increase from club finishers. That is pretty insane. Same span, 5 years. A massive, 92% difference, or 292% difference. Sorry. I mean, you guys being with the club, you've known these statistics. You're like every year, you're like, wow, this is crazy. Are you happy?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that people are doing the challenge and enjoying it. I mean, there's obviously drawbacks to heavy use of the mountains. We all see certain areas that are overused, perhaps, and there's some impact on the mountain environment. But I think it's good, and I think we'll just have to wait and see, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, whether people are going to continue to do this, or whether we're seeing sort of a spike.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree with Jake. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there was definitely a bit of a drop off after 2020. So I'm really curious to see if those numbers will be sustained, right? Because not everyone who started hiking in 2020 attained their membership yet. But at the same time, to pivot to your favorite theme, and applaud you for bringing this up all the time, with the increase of hikers, even more reasons to get out and volunteer, right? Adopt the trail, volunteer, for the blowdown brigade, trail maintenance, trailhead stewards, to kind of educate all the new hikers and to preserve trails in the woods for future generations. It's not just about the patch, but club does award the service award patch, which is a beautiful patch that you can qualify for after some qualifying events. So
hell yeah. I actually download that the other day. I'm gonna fill that out.
Excellent. Look forward to featuring you in a canister next issue then.
Excellent. You might not be able to put my name in there, so yeah, I don't want it in there. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. So excellent. Welcome to episode 59 of Inside the Line, the Catskills. I have two awesome people here that made a heroic rescue on Westkill Mountain a year ago, was it?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. So Jake and Yana are going to talk about their rescue of a goose, Westkill Mountain. You don't laugh, Yana. It's freaking awesome. I love it. We'll get into that later on. So, but thank you to the monthly supporters, Darren Wright, Vicky Ferreira, John Comiskey, Jim C., Michael Bongner, David Mead, Matt Smith, and Sharon Klein. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Also, thank you to Outdoor Chronicles Photography for being the sponsor of the show. Thank you so much, Molly, from Outdoor Chronicles Photography Specials in Adventure Elopement and Adventure Couple Photography in the Catskills, Adirondacks, and Whites. Don't forget your pets, though. We're pet lovers right here. Actually, all of us are right here, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Wouldn't be here otherwise. Tell the story if we weren't.
That's true. You'd be putting them to bed and not drinking like you are. Also, she is an officiant for getting married and a licensed guide. So don't hesitate to get a hold of Molly on all platforms. Thank you, Molly. Appreciate it. So what are you guys drinking tonight?
I'm drinking traditional American lager from the Yuengling Company.
Ooh, excellent. Nothing wrong with that. Yana?
Well, obviously you can guess what I'm drinking. The one and only Westkill Brewery, which is actually tied to the story in many different ways. For the occasion, I actually had to dig in my cellars, and I got this delicious Blaze, which is another sour.
Excellent.
So, going to enjoy that. And you?
Of course, Westkill always. I'm having a good Jack Daniel's honey and ginger ale. I have to take it light because it's been a crazy week. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Axon, good to plug the Westkill Brewery because I've been trying to get a hold of him for at least a year and a half now. It's been ever since I started.
Mike. He gets mentioned in every episode. I mean, he should.
Him and Brios get mentioned every episode. It's crazy. So yeah, previous hikes. Jake, besides Jake and Yana, you went on the same hike actually. Besides Shokin High Point, you guys went on a hike. I mean, this is going to be aired Monday, so we won't have the freaking snow. But one of you or both of you tell us your perspective of your hike. I believe you went up Hunter Mountain, correct?
Yeah, when was it, Yana? It was on Sunday.
Yeah. So I guess like
Yes.
3-4 days ago.
Yep.
Beautiful, really nice. It's perfect snowshoeing conditions. Sorry, Monday people. But, sorry, future.
Right.
Winter Wonderland, stunning.
And all the snow was hanging to the trees because it was wet snow, right? It was beautiful. Oh man.
Well, because it was cold, right? Because we were actually thinking we would get snow bumps, but it was just cold enough that at the start the branches were kind of bendy. But no, there was just a little bit of snow falling, but just nothing at all, really.
Yeah,
nice.
the drive in was so cool because what is it, 42? Up by the Hawkett trailhead.
Yeah.
Just like the way the trees were coming down, it was like walking through a cathedral, just I almost felt like the trees were going to touch my car. They were all bending.
Nice, but scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if that's going to fall on your car or when you're hiking, it's going to fall on your head.
Right.
But I also remember you posting about you cleaning up some trash on the side of the trail from some losers.
Utter losers. We did see some post holes, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Probably the same bunch of people, and they just stopped, had a very nice lunch, and just threw all their trash over the trail. Just disgusting. Yeah. Jake is the hero. He climbed down, and in another case, he had to break trail to climb up.
Nice.
Yeah. Because it wasn't the only place where they deposited the trash. And you can tell it was from that day, right? Because it was sitting on top of snow. It was not covered at all, It was very obvious it was fresh garbage.
Wow.
I was really hoping to see those people, but alas, yeah.
Now, when you guys did the hike, how was the trench? You guys didn't have to break trail, did you?
No, there was a very nice set of skis, several actually, and there was a trail broken out. It wasn't like fully consolidated, but on the way back, they ran into two guys who really walked in the formation, so they packed it down quite nicely. So our walkout was very quick and
nice. Now, what are you guys' this is a good time to talk about selection for snowshoes for advice for people. Jake, what's your snowshoe? What do you have wearing?
I use just the Tubbs Alps Flex snowshoe. That's what I bought those a few years ago, and they've served me well. So I'm sticking with them.
Nice.
I like MSR too, though.
Yeah, MSR. So you have both, or you've tried both?
I've tried both. I don't currently have an MSR pair, but maybe in the future I'll get one of those too.
Nice. Yana?
I have MSR Lightning Assets.
Nice.
Got them really for no other reason that everyone that I trust as far as gear, that was basically the snowshoes they recommended. So I got my first pair, I don't know, like 8 years ago, something like that. And it was the older design where there was that fault with the crampon being busted. And they ended up failing, 3 years ago. I mean, I fully expected it, and I contacted MSR. And even though the snowshoe was out of warranty, they sent me there's my replacement parts. But since I couldn't wait, I got another one. So I have two pairs right now. Very happy. The new design is great.
Nice.
It works for me. I don't like to engage in the discussion which pair of snowshoes, sucks and which doesn't. I mean, they're all great. Like, as long as you have a pair of snowshoes, that's all that really matters. Don't be a post hauler.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, those ones though that you both have also have the crampons kind of on the bottom, so it's good grip for the steeper parts. So that's definitely what you need if you're going to look at climb the 3,500 clubs at least, or 3,500 peaks and the steeper pitches. You definitely need that. And Jake, I remember you ragging on me because we went up slide that one time and I didn't use the heel lift, and you were like, "Why aren't you using a heel lift? That's dumb."
Yeah, totally. You gotta use it if you have it.
The cheater bar, as some hardcore hikers call it. But it's great. I love the cheater bar.
I don't know why I don't use them. I just don't use them. I have a feeling maybe I'm scared that I'm going to hit my back heel on it, it's going to rip it apart or something. But I don't know. Maybe I just like working my quads a little bit more and feeling the pain and then hating my life afterwards. Like always.
No reason to work harder, work smarter. That's what they're doing.
When you're doing like 15 miles, you definitely appreciate it. If you're doing a really long winter hike.
Damn straight. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I gotta get back. I wish I could, this week, this past week was just, I swear, I think this was the busiest week of my life, with work. I went down during the snowstorm. I went down south to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and watched 2 straight shows, 2 straight nights of metal bands, and it was fantastic. Like a lot of August Burns Red is a Christian metal band, Christian death metal, really, which is really odd. But they were awesome. Going down in the storm was beautiful, just to hit that snow and just to feel that. And then I get back, and the next day, or I'm down in Lancaster, and the next day everybody's posting pictures of hiking the Catskills, and I'm major jealous. So
I was jealous of your concert videos. They looked amazing.
Oh man, Phineas is an incredible band from like the early 2000s. Phineas is also the a priest in the Bible, and that's why they named themselves Phineas. And they do a lot of I guess inspirational stuff. It's very inspirational. But I got a shirt from August Burns Red on the back. It says angry music for happy people. Yeah, right. I was like, that's me. I'm happy. I'm angry at times. But so some news. I was looking this up. I couldn't find anything. So my friend from Instagram, Ted, brought this to my attention. I didn't notice about this, but the guy who did crap on Hunter Mountain at the John Rod lead-to, he pled to disorderly conduct and was directed to pay only a $350 fine and do 25 hours of community service for defacing the Chopron lead-to and adjacent rock. So that's a pretty easy fine. 25 hours. Let's hope he goes up there and freaking restores lean-tos and stuff like that. They make him hike and work for it.
Yeah, they're fining $250 if you don't have snowshoes. So $350 is like a joke, considering how many hours went into the cleanup. So yeah, but at least it's something. It took a year, right? Because the original sentencing was meant to be in December of last year, right?
Yep. I remember I was ready to go to that, but they I think they called it off and they did it digitally or something like that because of a second rise of COVID or something like that. But so thanks, Tad. Tad also brought this to my attention, which is I brought this up to Jake a little bit earlier. Today, in Ulster County down in Rochester Hollow, a man was pronounced dead on the trail. 69-year-old male, apparently suffered some cardiac arrest, heart attack. They tried CPRs until authorities reached them, and unfortunately it was pronounced dead on the scene. So once I get more information about that, it really sucks. Rochester Hollow, very, very popular spot. Just very, very odd for in the Catskills, especially on such an easy trail. But once I get more information, we'll talk about it more on here. But sorry about that. So, this is going to air Monday. So we talked about snowshoeing. Now we're going to talk back because it's airing on Monday, and we have that crap storm coming in on Thursday, Friday, and then the freeze over Saturday. It's going to turn back to crampons and spikes. I would say almost full on crampons because we're going to have rain, and then we're going to have a thaw, then rain, and then a complete freeze over of negative temperatures. So yeah, bring everything that you can to the trail. And I stated this earlier, if you're going to be out, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would suggest bringing a friend along with you, or at least some sort of self-rescue, because ice is going to be everywhere. It's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be snow anywhere. It's just going to be all sheets of ice. So sliding down 300 feet of trail and hitting a tree or a rock is not going to be fun.
And watch out for the water crossings.
Yep, water crossings as well.
Very, very ugly. Yeah.
Blowdown too. Blowdown's going to be wind's supposed to be projected up to 45, 50 miles an hour constant. So that's
better yet, just honestly stay home. Winter season just started. It's not going anywhere. Just wait a few days, let the water recede, and some
idea.
snow maybe fall on the ice.
Hey Stash, I listened to your last podcast, and I just want to push back a little bit and just challenge you a little bit. You said that you 100%, that you would never call for emergency, that you'll do your own rescue, and you wouldn't call for help unless it was 100% emergency. And just think it's important, from a search and rescue perspective, that we talk about the importance of reaching out to first responders, to the DEC, if you ever think there might be an emergency, because they can help you in those situations. They can help you make sure that it doesn't turn into something worse. And it doesn't mean when you call for help that you're gonna, be calling a rescue. It could just mean that, you're making people aware you might have a situation, and they can also give you, some encouragement or some tips for how to deal with it. So I just wanted to push back a little bit there, because I listened to that last episode, and I'm like, I appreciate the resolve, but you need to be smart as well.
That's true. Very, very good point, Jake. So I've heard of a lot of people up in the White Mountains and Adirondacks calling for rescues, when they're a half a mile off trail and, they're a little bit cold. Every time the Rangers will tell them to self-rescue, turn around where you located. They see where they're located. Follow the trail back to the trailhead, get yourself in the car and warm yourself up. No need to call for a thing, but it's actually a good point to, if you have service, don't I know those new iPhones have an SOS beacon thing now on it, that you can hit it and it hits at SOS and it goes directly to an emergency, almost like a personal locator beacon. It's really crazy. So I've heard of a lot of out west has happened a lot, and 95% of the time it's not needed. People are located right off of the trail and stuff like that.
They're the people who you call, whether it's the DEC or in some states Fish and Game. They're there to help you manage a situation. So they love the idea of helping you with that, and not having to even get out and physically be there.
And that's a good point. And also what you said about calling in for a rescue, you might not be rescued. You seriously won't be rescued immediately. That's the thing people get, is that every time they get injured or something like that, they think in 15 minutes a helicopter is going to come and reach them. Absolutely not, especially in the Catskills. You have a canopy over you. So number one, they can't really rescue you by helicopter unless they haul you out into an open area, which is like a ledge, which is, like Wittenberg Mountain had a couple rescues on there. That's a perfect spot for that. But that's why you bring the extra stuff. Jake and I have learned over time for search and rescue, having extra clothes, extra layers, extra, like a shelter, a temporary shelter, emergency shelter, stuff like that. Keep you warm until those, it's going to be 2 to 3 hours till they reach you, depending on the place. Even if in the shortest of places, they might not be over located in Hunter Mountain where you're at. They might be over in Windham patrolling over there. So that's a good 35-minute drive over there. And then they got to hike up to you. So very good point, Jake. I just don't want to be that one guy on the news that says, idiot and search and rescue team had to call for a search and rescue on himself.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And, we have had some people that have had unfortunate accidents. When you break an ankle on the trail, you have to call for a rescue. It's not probable that you're going to get yourself out 2 or 3 miles when you're up on, the side of the Indian Head Mountain, or same thing, Wittenberg, stuff like that. You have to. And I've heard of it several times. I remember hearing about a rescue up in White Mountain where a guy from search and rescue team had no other choice but to call search and rescue. And he was deeply embarrassed. But then at the same time, you broke your ankle and you're up 2-3 miles with 3,000 feet of elevation gain. You're not getting down. You're going to only hurt yourself even more and put yourself in a worse situation. So Jake, you're awesome. Thank you for plugging that in there. You guys are plugging in everything today. Awesome. Makes it more interesting. So let's get into this little tiny bit of Catskill Mountain history. All right. So a couple episodes back, I think it was with Ramsey Adams, I was talking about the Ashokan Reservoir and how it was a couple of towns that were overtaken for the reservoir for New York City residents for the tap water down there. So I decided to check out a little bit deeper info and go a little bit further over to the west, over to the Pacapacon or Pacadon. How do you say that? I
can't pronounce it either.
Right? Pacadon.
Pacacton, isn't it?
Pacacton. I've heard so many different things. Pacapacon is one of my locals says it. I'm just like, that's not how it's pronounced.
Could be wrong. Yeah.
Don't ask me. English is my second language.
Pacapton. It's seriously the locals say it like in like kind of like a Native American way, Pacapacon or something like that. But I decided to check that out too to see how crazy that was. So I got this online. It actually didn't say who wrote it, which was pretty weird because it was on the Times Union or something around that. But it was also back in like 1993. So New York City, of course, has the best drinking water in the country, but it didn't come without a price. Most residents from the city are familiar with the Croton Aqueduct, which is located down near Croton on the Hudson, which was the first to bring fresh water to the city in 1842 and updated in 1890. The Catskill Aqueduct was next built between 1917 and 1924, bringing 40% of the New York City's water from a series of reservoirs 163 miles away from upstate New York. What New Yorkers may not know is that the 6 reservoirs in the Catskill Aqueduct, including the Ashokan Reservoir, is New York City's largest, were formed by flooding a dozen towns. The plan for the Catskill Aqueduct began in 1905 when the New York City Board of Water Supply was formed, allowing for the acquisition of property by eminent domain and the construction of dams, reservoirs, and aqueducts. The area in question was formerly a farming area with logging activity as well as quarrying for bluestone, which ended up on the Brooklyn Bridge. So 2,000 people were relocated, including 1,000 New Yorkers with second homes. 32 cemeteries were unearthed and 1,800 residents were buried elsewhere to limit water contamination. Residents were offered $15 from the city, $65 later for the Delaware Aqueduct to disinherit their relatives and rebury them elsewhere. In sum, 4 towns were submerged while 8 were relocated to build the Ashokan Reservoir. When the dam was completed, steam whistles were blown for an hour, warning the residents that the water was coming. Today, remnants of the foundation walls and more can be seen, particularly when the water levels are extremely low, which is often in the summer and fall. Now you can see it quite often, actually, but very little still remains. Although access to the reservoirs have been limited since 9/11, you can see some of these archaeological finds from the bridges. And you can also hike along the Ashokan Reservoir, Ashokan Rail Trail. Beautiful spot. The last eminent domain lawsuits in the Ashokan Reservoir area was not settled until 1940, and not until 2002 that New York City made any moves to acknowledge the history in the Esopus Valley. The NYCDEP installed an outdoor exhibition in all of New York that commemorated the lost towns and the feat of the aqueduct itself, with the intention to add exhibits at 5 other reservoirs. Signage now shows the former towns, which is very, very little. It's just so like former site of Ashokan or former site of Arena and stuff. So the Delaware Aqueduct is the most recent of the city aqueducts, and it's sort of similar to the Catskill Aqueduct. The Pacapacon Reservoir, aka the Downsville Reservoir, the Downsville Dam, was formed by not only flooding 4 towns, but also submerging half of the existing Delaware and Northern Railroad. This reservoir provides 25% of the city's drinking water, and combined with the Catskill and Delaware Aqueduct, provides 90% of the city's water. In total, construction of these reservoirs and aqueducts resulted in the destruction of 25 communities and the relocation of 5,500 people across New York State. The inhabitants of the little village of Arena, which is located on the Pacapacon, are decorating their homes and putting up Christmas lights for the last time, reported the Oneonta Star in December of 1953. That same month, the same paper recorded the final New Year's Eve party in Shavertown that would be held at Fletcher's Hall. After a night of square dancing, the building would be torn down immediately on January 1st. Today, the Pacapacon Reservoir, which is 15 miles long and can hold 142 billion gallons, supplies 25% of the New York daily water. The streets where the town folks once strolled are new home to brown trout, beloved by fishermen who frequent the reservoir. Aside from the Pacapacon Cemetery, the reservoir itself is most visible homage to a submerged town. New York was fond of naming its reservoirs after the community they serve. The Neversink Reservoir, for instance, occupies the spot where towns Neversink and Bittersweet once stood. The Cannonsville Reservoir was also home to the now town of the same name. It's just something to think about when you're running the tap water down in New York City. Crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, it's crazy. It can go both ways. I mean, it is very sad. It is crazy that you had to bury up dig up your family members and move them for the sake of New York City water. But at the same time, that brings money to the Catskills, right? I think.
Does it? I don't know.
I don't know either. I gotta get somebody on there. I gotta get somebody in the DEC and then like investigate them or something like
DEP. Probably DEP, but
DEP.
I don't think they will come up on your show if you're going to grill them.
Exactly. You'd be like, what are you doing with our money? Never. No. All right. So that Catskill Mountain history. Let's move on to the topic of the night.
Let's go.
So Yana and Jake are here with a goose rescue that happened on Westkill Mountain a couple of years ago. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Very much. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about this. I remember reading about it on the Facebook and stuff like that, but never got an in-depth about this. I don't know why. Jake and I have been SAR team members for years now, and I never asked him about this. So how about we get into some background really quick? Yana, how about you first? Quick background.
Sure, yeah, because I've been on your show before. So I guess I'm a hiker, bird lover, mushroom lover. I love to paddle. I just love spending time in the woods. I am the editor for the Canister, serve with Jake on the board of Catskill 3500 Club. I think I've been editing the Canister for, 4.5 years, something like that. Love the gig. I guess here's my second plug for the Canister. We went electronic shortly before it took over, so that really allowed to cover a lot more topics than before. Before it was printed version limited to 8 pages. By the time you finish listing the schedule of the club hikes and the members and the president's column, there was like hardly any room left for anything else. Now that it's electronic, we have tons of photographs, and I always look for images, submissions, but we also cover lots of submissions from the club news, so you can learn about different opportunities and just newsy events. Each committee member will provide a detailed kind of update on their, committee, right? And you'll have a detailed schedule and a list of club members. But at the same time, you will have fantastic stories that kind of cover crazy adventures, like the Goose rescue. Jake wrote about that. And you have book reviews, you have just kind of historical profiles. And we have members contributing who have numbers, under 100. Seriously, we do. We have people from just different generation of hikers continuously providing very educational articles or just reminiscing about our adventures or different advice, how to hike with the kids. We definitely love that topic. Various advice how to hike with infants or camp with kids in winter. I mean, we have lots of, a lot of the guests that you had, most of them have been featured in a Canister in one way or another. So if anyone who likes to write and wants the story to share, please hit me up. I would be very happy to chat. Anyways, and I guess the other thing I'll mention, since the last time we chatted with you, very proud to say that I finished the Catskill Mountain Club grid.
Nice.
I think I'm number 55. Definitely very proud of that fit. And I guess I will give a plug for CMC as well. CMC took over the grid and the 4-season patches from the Eric Van Winkle hikers who originated the award about 20 or so years ago. So you have the original patch for that. And they don't advertise it very much. And I think people may not even appreciate it. But they have it, and they have a couple of other really awesome awards. CMC Trails patch, the trails that they actually built this collaboration with the DEP on the DEP lands, and then the All Trails Challenge. So excellent patches from CMC, and the grid is the more kind of environmentally friendly one because they once we lost Graham and Double Top, they substituted trails, peaks that already had the trails. So they would be minimizing any further kind of environmental impact. So I guess that's all about me, really.
Thank you, Yana. I will plug your email in here, by the way, if somebody wants to write something about there. Hopefully I got some good people that'll write some stuff for you, and you'll have
Thank
content.
you, Stash. Please. Anything hiking related to the Catskills? Love to hear
Awesome.
about it.
Jake, how about you, sir? A little bit of background.
Yeah. I started hiking in the Catskills, I think it was 2013 or so, and I liked the challenge aspect of it and the peak bagging aspect of it. And started did the regular season and then the winter, and then started hiking the Adirondacks. And I've met so many great people over the years in the hiking community, including Yana and including you, Stash. And I've gotten involved with the 3500 Club several years back, and now I run the aspirants committee on the club, which is really just part of the membership process. And I'm also on the SAR team with you, Stash. I've been on the SAR team for, what is it now, 2 or 3 years now. So
It's been almost 2 years.
Yep, and I hike all over the Northeast, and currently working on the winter 115. Although that's might not happen this year. I'm in no rush to finish it, but certainly looking forward to getting up to New Hampshire for at least finishing the winter 48 this winter.
You guys are crazy. You both are NE 115 finishers, correct?
That's right.
Wow. Unbelievable. I seriously don't know how you guys find the time to get up there and do that in New Hampshire and Adirondacks and everything. That's crazy.
We did a lot of it together. So, once you have a buddy, it's easy. Sometimes we would drive up together and hike very different things, but you have a, friend for a long ass drive and have a dinner with,
Right.
Sometimes bring your dinner to the trailhead, that was nice too.
Nice. Well, crazy stuff. So Jake, yeah, thank you both for the 3,500 contribution there, because the canister number one is a fantastic way for information about the club. And then Jake, the aspirants, is, you guys have been taking on some serious baggage for the past 2-3 years with aspirants and with just the canister in general. So the crazy thing is I remember looking at the canister back in 2017 and seeing the amount of club hikes, and it wasn't that much, but it was a decent amount. Now I think it takes up 3 pages.
Mark did a fantastic job recruiting and training hike leaders.
Yes.
So yes, if anyone is interested in joining the hike leader program, please contact Mark Friedman.
Yeah.
Yes, you can plug it too. Yeah.
Or if you're interested in just joining the hike and you want to get to know some awesome people, definitely join a club hike. And you want to know some stuff, your bushwhacking skills, winter skills, stuff like that. They have everything, and they will help you out. The community will help you out. Awesome stuff. I love the 3,500 Club.
I'm leading a couple hikes in January if anyone's interested. Panther and Slide.
Nice.
Which are both required for the winter, for the patch. So as winter hikes.
Hell yeah, I'll have to join that. I'm going to join it in a different name and be like, yeah, I don't have anything available. You guys got to supply me. You guys got to supply me with everything.
That would be funny. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really should have said that far more than contacting Marv about becoming a hike leader. Check out the schedule. I mean, for the winter weekend, I think there's probably like between 20 and 30 different hikes. So the winter weekend, I want to say, is the 18th and 19th of January, something like that, right? So, and the festivities will be in the Catskill Seasons Inn, I think.
Yeah, I think I read that. Yep, yeah. Catskill Seasons Inn again. Nice.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the place. But yeah, I mean, it's just all hikes. Everyone is welcome. And just make sure you contact the hike leader ahead of time. I mean, Jake probably could do a better job describing how it works if anyone is interested.
Yep. Right now it's an email. You find the hike leader's email address and you just reach out, and it helps if you, in that first email, you just tell the hike leader who you are and what your experience is, and just, give them a little something so they don't have to initiate a long back and forth conversation. Unless, of course, you already, know the hike leader, in which case, they'll usually be happy to have you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And of course, yeah. And we encourage that, if you've done a lot of hikes, you join the club as an aspirant or eventually a member. just because, it's a good way to give back. It's not free to run the hike leading program. We do, need insurance. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Training.
Plugging in the 3,500 Club. I love it. So.
Well, we're board members. What do you expect?
I know. No, I mean, being a former board member as well, I jumped in a crazy time, and I think I got a little bit too much on my shoulders at that time. So, but I now am more fond of the 3,500 Club with being what you guys got to deal with in the Catskills and what you guys do for the Catskills. It's astronomical. It's incredible. And a lot of things go behind the scenes, which you don't think that they do. And it contributes to the Catskills more than you think it does. So if you think you're just getting a patch, you're getting a patch, but you're also getting some award from one of the top contributors to the Catskill Mountains. So thank you guys for volunteering again. I really appreciate it.
What you, sir. Thank you. And thank you for, highlighting us all the time. Definitely appreciate it.
So let's get on to it. What the hell happened on Westkill Mountain? Like, somebody describe it, please, because I don't know.
Sure, I will start, and I think Jake should talk through most of the story because, you will hear it. So basically, it kind of goes back to Westkill Brewery. It opened less than a year prior to the event, and it was very popular. And I will be honest with you, a lot of my hikes then and still now kind of tend to be around Spruceton Valley because I just love going to the brewery after the hike. So I was already kind of thinking, maybe Westkill or maybe something in the neighborhood. And then Ken Posner, who was on your show before, posted on Facebook kind of blurry picture of what appeared to be the duck, and just below the cave and the 3,500 sign, and basically asking if anyone, obviously jokingly, lost their pet duck. And so we heard it was there, and there was a massive ice storm. Some people may remember from social media, John Fellows was posting those crazy pictures from their pen, right? So everything was just incast in ice. So we think the poor bird, while it was in the migration route, got blown off or maybe injured and basically just got stuck there. And just like helicopter cannot just land in Westkill Mountain, Brant needs open space to take off, right? Plus, we later found out it was injured, so kind of jumping. So it was just stuck there all the time for about a week. Wow. And sorry to do this to you, but I think that rules out presence of your favorite topic, mountain lion, at least on Westkill, because if it was there, we would not have a story.
Yes, of course, but maybe the mountain lion wasn't interested. So let's. He was already full and hibernating, I guess. Mountain lions hibernate in the winter, whatever.
They do? Okay, learn something every day. So basically, that's kind of the background, how we knew that it was there, and basically the beer brought us to the valley. And if I remember correctly, Westkill just kind of became the mountain to hike because we figured it would be interesting to see it if it's still there.
It was just a random hike that not a random hike, but you guys wanted to go up there to rescue it to see if you can find it.
No, we weren't hunting.
No, I wasn't planning. No.
Geese.
Yeah. What do you call them again, Yana?
Brown goose. And of course, back then, I didn't even realize it was a goose. Like, I never even heard of it before. It's not something I would see it. The bird breeds in the Arctic, and then when it migrates down from New York, it just never passes through where I usually look for birds.
Don't you call those cobra chickens?
No, that would be Canada geese, and they're everywhere. Yeah. No, this one was very cute and small, and
so they
mostly friendly.
They look a bit like a Canada geese. You can look it up. They have some of the same patterns, and so I could understand how someone could confuse them, but they are a bit smaller. And of course, their migration pattern is different. They, they summer up in the sort of the Hudson Bay area, so up in Canada, and then, in the wintertime, they come down to the mid-Atlantic shore. So it was probably on its way to, the Jersey Shore or something. And, they fly at about 3,200 feet. That's their typical sort of migration elevation. And they, he must have Westkill is a little higher than that. So, perhaps in the weather, I did not avoid the mountain, and that wasn't the only goose that we heard about that year. Being up in the mountain, I believe there was another one up there on another mountain as well. So it happened.
Wow.
And of course, it happened in the past as well.
Excuse me.
So now, how did you find it up on the mountain? That's really, geese. How like 2.5, 3 feet tall, maybe? How the hell did you find that?
Oh gosh, not even. I think it's like 20 inches tall.
Oh, not even 2 feet. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty small. I mean, Jake is right. They do look a little bit like cobra chickens, but very miniature version. Basically, you know how you get over, there's that sketchy spot like 2 miles in, and then you have essentially a flat section with some ups and downs, but it's pretty flat overall, right? And that's where you have the balsam firs. Just beautiful area to walk into. It was basically waddling or, sometimes sprinting, depending who it was near, just up and down, right below the cave. And Jake, do you remember if you saw it first or I saw it first? But basically, it was just like right there, and it started waddling away from us.
Yeah, it was on the trail. It definitely stuck out as being a creature that really does not belong in that habitat. It was not. If you were a fox, you would not have had much trouble with that bird. So, it was, and it was hanging around the trail. Someone else obviously had seen it on the trail before. So, it was on the trail when we first encountered it, and then when we came back, it was still right along the trail. So for some reason, it liked that area.
Interesting. And like when you approached it, did it seem like injured or anything like that?
I mean, it certainly could not fly, right? And attempted to take off, but it really couldn't. So it just picked up the pace and kind of mostly was traveling up and down the trail.
Wow.
I mean, it did dart into the bushes here and there, but basically it really stuck to the open area, which kind of makes sense, right? Because they live out in the tundra, and then when they come down for winter, they live in like marshes. So probably being amongst balsam firs was a claustrophobic for it, so just wanted to stay on any open space that it could. And the sad and crazy part is that there was absolutely nothing on that mountain that it could eat.
Yeah. Is that what you got it to follow you guys and stuff? Like, were you prepared to lure him down the mountain? Really?
He didn't follow us. No,
really?
No. So, I think when I first encountered it, I sort of, half-heartedly chased it around a bit because, Yana immediately was like that, like, I know what that is. That's a brant. And, of course I was like, that doesn't belong here. So we thought, oh, maybe what if we could help it out? And, I tried chasing it around, but then we're like, well, if we do that, if we catch it, our hike's over. So, we ended up going up to Westkill, and then on our way back down, we're like, we're going to keep an eye out for it, hopefully run into it. And we did. It was right there where we saw it. And then it wasn't going to follow us down. And it's a wild animal. We didn't have enough goose food to make it do that either. So we figured out we're going to catch it. And so I started chasing it around, and we basically teamed up, to corral the goose into a position where one of us could catch it. And it was fairly easy. I mean, it took a few back and forth runs, but the goose is not adapted to that environment, so it was fumbling quite a bit, and it was slow relatively. It was lunging and sort of attempting to fly, but obviously not effectively. And I believe at some point I chased it, and Yana was able to get a hand on it, and it sort of went to the ground, and then she dove into the spruces and grabbed the goose.
Yeah, so I was just like totally lying across the trail with my hands outstretched into the bushes, and the goose was basically trying to escape from me. It was quite comical. I'm glad that Jake did not have a camera. I should say I was glad at the time, because I'm sure it would have been just ridiculous. But now I kind of wish he did, because he just cannot make the sounds like flying across the trail, holding a goose, that's trying to escape. And It was not your typical Westkill experience.
Was it like aggressive? Like, I mean, besides flying, was it flying at you and stuff like the Canadian geese do, or was it?
No.
No. I mean, like, I don't think they're anywhere close to Canada geese, just in their demeanor in general. But also, mind you, it's been there for at least like a week, right? It was weak. It was hungry. But it was, of course, trying to put up a fight. It was trying to escape, and I was just trying to, hold it.
Was it pecking at you?
So
not until later, and I will share that.
Let's keep that. So Jake, go ahead. Yeah, I think you're.
Oh yeah. So they have rounded goose bills. Don't they have teeth, Yana? I think it had little teeth, which is funny.
No.
little goose teeth. Yes. If I remember correctly. Anyway, Yana grabbed it. We secured it in, I believe, Yana's backpack cover, and that basically immobilized it, so it couldn't keep flapping and escaping. And it was not happy, but at the same time, it didn't have a ton of fight in it. So once we sort of wrapped it up, and then we're like, wow, we were gonna catch the goose and we succeeded. Now, we didn't really think about what happens next, right? I don't think we really expected to actually get it, right? I mean, I didn't really expect to get it. I thought, I'd give it a good shot. But
yeah, and people on social media under Ken's post, they were like, "Oh, you should go and rescue," and everyone was just like, "Yeah, right. Is that a cat? Yeah." But I think we were 2.5 miles up the road, probably even more from the car, right? Because there is a bit of a road walk, but definitely 2.5 miles on the trail.
And this was basically right before the approach to the lookout, right?
It's just under the cave.
So that's a hell of a haul so you caught it there, and then you descended down the mountain with massive ice. So that must have been scary to have, a brand in your backpack and then also protecting yourself at the same time. You're like, I don't want to hurt this guy.
Oh no. Jake carried it in his hands.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It was wrapped in the rainfly. Yeah. It was swaddled like a baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it didn't like peck at you. It was basically because it's been a week out there, so it's probably just fatigued like crazy.
It pecked, but I'm used to my dad has a parrot with a big sharp, parrot beak, and compared to that, this was nothing. It's got a rounded bill, it's for goose bill, and so it's sort of rubbing and pushing with its beak and shaking a bit. But after a little while, it didn't. I realized that there wasn't any point in pecking too much. So yeah, I carried it down. I kept. I just walked very carefully. Every step. I didn't have the use of my poles. I'm sure if I had poles, they were stowed away.
I was carrying
You were
them.
carrying my poles, okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
So yeah, just no slipping allowed. But thanks to the micro spikes that I was wearing, they did the job.
nice.
Yeah.
So now on the way down, did it like at times, there's some certain times when you see on the internet, of course, like an animal gets rescued and stuff, and it looks back. Like I've always seen sometimes when bald eagles get rescued, they'll fly up in the tree and then look back at you and be like, "Hey, thanks a lot," or something, or something like a fox or a bear will run and then look back and did it at any time to kind of give you that signal of like, "Hey, you guys are helping me out. Thanks a lot."
We didn't release it. Actually, we took it with us and we had delicious dinner. No, I'm kidding. No, we
We fantasized about the dinner. You should mention the name. Really bad.
So yeah, we did encounter a few people, and we had to explain ourselves, and people don't usually see that. So
yeah.
You're like, yep, this is what we're doing. So at that point, the idea was we're going to get done and we're going to, make some calls and try to figure out what's the next step. Because when you encounter any sort of wildlife that's injured, and you're interested in helping it, there's people out there who can help wildlife. So we didn't know who that might be, but we were gonna find out, and we had an afternoon to do it. So you want to tell a story, Yana, of going to the Westkill, or?
Sure, yeah, but I guess I figured you were going to share the name for the goose that we gave it in the trail.
Yeah. Well, so this happened on the day that my favorite sports team, which is the Boston Red Sox, we're going to play Game 5 of the World Series in 2018. I had that on my mind, sort of nervously, but star Red Sox right fielder at the time was Mookie Betts. So I'm like, well, I'm going to name this duck Goose after Mookie Betts. And so we named him Mookie. And of course, Yana also wanted to contribute to the name. And Yana, what did you contribute to the name?
So I gave him his last name, Schmaltz. Schmaltz in Yiddish is absolutely delicious.
Oh my God.
Fat and skin fried from a poultry.
Oh man.
So that was like really bad. So his name was Mookie Schmaltz. And unfortunately for me, I'm just kidding. I would never do that. Fortunately for Mookie, he was not turned into Schmaltz. So eventually we get down back to the car. And I think we either carpooled the day or we just decided to use one car because obviously somebody had to hold the goose. So that's where the funny part happens. All that ice that fell, it kind of started to melt once we were in the summit. So basically we really had to change our layers because they were just like absolutely soaked. So what I did is that I put on my puffy. My puffy is filled with goose feathers. And and at that point, I was supposed to be holding Mookie. And Mookie was very docile until I put on my puffy. And then all of a sudden, he just went totally crazy and he started pecking. But so I don't know, maybe he smelled relative, but it was definitely a noticeable change. So anyways, off we go to the brewery. I mean, it was pretty easy choice because there's not much else out there. And we knew we could, get a phone call or some advice or something. Plus, that was the main reason why we were in Spruceton Valley to begin with. So Mike Barcon, the owner of Westkill Brewery, he gave us a box to put Mookie in, and they put some holes in there. And then he called up late Missy from the Friends of the
Feathered and Furry Wildlife Center.
Thank you. I mean, I always, yes, lots of F's. But anyways, amazing people in Lexington. It was like about 10 miles away. So he called Missy, and she was waiting for us when we got there. And she immediately told us everything, we needed to know about brown geese and what they were supposed to be eating, and obviously what poor Mookie didn't. And basically she took it off her hands, but then she kept us informed of what was happening. So we later found out that Mookie got x-rayed and she had a broken wing bone. I think it's ulna or something. I don't remember. Wow. Do you remember how it's called, Jake?
I'm not sure which bone it was. She also became a she, by the way. You snuck that in there.
Yes. Yeah, it was not a she. But
Mookie goes both ways.
Exactly. But it was really funny because Missy said, and I actually copied it, only female could have survived the broken wing, 3,500 in a pine forest of ice, no food or water, waiting patiently for a ride down the hill. Aww. So that's what Missy said, yes. But she was obviously very malnourished, and it took a bit longer for her to get better because they also wanted to make sure she put on some weight to be able to do the migration. And I think she was released maybe like 6 weeks later. Oh, wow. And then they just drove her somewhere else and released her.
Now, was it like when they contacted, did they do a post about this? Because they usually do great posts.
Several posts, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look that up and post that link.
Yeah, I will send you the links. Yeah.
Awesome.
I have them.
Now, any times did you think that like you wouldn't, I mean, trying to catch it, you probably didn't think it would happen, but any other times where you were just like, man, this is not going to work out. Like, what the hell are we going to do?
No, I wouldn't say we, once we had it, we're like, we're gonna have it until we give it up. And fortunately, of course, we didn't want the goose to suffer more than she had to, or to something bad to happen to her. It must have been very stressful for her. And I'm sure she was pretty weak, but we took good care of her and passed her on to the next person.
Wow, that's just so crazy that up there and you caught it like that. That's just the thing that baffles me, is that you caught it and then brought it down the mountain. It probably panicked that time, but then at the same time, it was also like one of the, like a wild dog. It's just like, oh my God, thank you so much. Unbelievable. Now, what did they said it was a broken like wing. That's pretty, no other problems or something besides being, like probably hungry.
No, none, which is very surprising. But birds are very resilient animals, and crazy storms happen, right? And they sometimes may not be able to feed for quite a while, depending on the conditions. So I guess the birds are kind of preconditioned to it, but it also suppose explains why she was so stuck on the trail and wasn't able to go far, right? Like she could not like fly up a tree or something, right? Because she just, like, the best she could do is just use one wing and try to evade us. But as Jake said, it was once we kind of figured out its pattern and the flat section is only kind of so far, we were able to corner it. It was very comical at some point. It didn't last very long for us to be like, oh man, we have to throw in the towel. But I suppose looking back, at least we knew what it was, where it was. We would have been able to corroborate and probably would have just rallied the troops.
Yeah, put up some more people.
Yeah.
So now, is there any thoughts of why like it just stayed on the trail? Because like they're pretty small. If it's only like 20 inches, it could waddle all over the place. Do you think it was actually looking for a rescue? Like it was like, hey, I'm injured, help me out. Huh?
I don't think so. I don't think it. I don't think it did. But I don't know. I don't know why it. Other than not having an instinct to explore and sort of boreal environment, just being like I don't really like being here, so maybe having a little familiar space. And Yanni mentioned it was more of an open space, so preferring that space to the unknown beyond, with all of its bears and foxes and whatnot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right above it was ice, right? So I think it was very obvious why it wouldn't be going up, right? It was just pure ice. There was nothing. Why it wouldn't go below? I honestly don't know. Yeah, it's one of those, the same mysterious mysteries.
Right? That's an awesome coincidence, though. And then the also coincidence, like you said up there with a fox or something, it's been up there for a week and it hasn't been caught. So,
and you see coyotes, cats there all the time. It's like anyone who hikes in the Catskills, right? So it is just like really shocking. Maybe that ice chased the wild animals down below in search of food. I don't know.
Interesting. That's so crazy. Now, like the ride, how was the ride? I know it's a very short ride, but how was the ride to the Spruce and Trailhead to what's it called, to Westkill? Like, was it just the same thing that you kept it wrapped and like held down and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, apart from the Goose getting a bit aggressive when I changed my layers, I just basically kind of tried to hold it more tightly. And I have some pictures. You will see how it was kind of wrapped truly like a baby, so it really did not do much except for the beak you had to watch out for,
Wow.
Yeah. And then it was in a box.
So cool. And so it was released. That's pretty crazy. Unbelievable stuff. Now, did you, on the way down, did you feed it with anything? Did you have anything to like give it to feed it with?
I mean, they might have possibly tried. That's natural human reaction, but it eats like the aquatic grass, so
interesting.
So
I did not carry seaweed with me that day, unfortunately.
Yeah, those delicious seaweed snacks would have been well received. Yeah.
Unbelievable. But another good thing is you saved it, number one, but also number two, you guys knew that the environment it was in, that it would not survive. I mean, it survived a week, but not much longer. So you knew to at least save it from that environment because it wasn't going to get out. Like other animals, like hopefully people won't try to save a fox or a coyote or something like that. They see them up there. That'll be a whole nother story. But definitely.
Oh, I know some people who would totally.
Jake, is that you? Is she talking about you?
No, I'm thinking my friend Michelle. She would totally do it.
Oh, would she? Michelle, good Lord.
Yeah, she would totally. But no, I mean, this one was quote unquote relatively easy rescue. The bird was small, right? It wasn't dangerous to us.
Compared to bears and stuff like that. So like, I mean, this is a great example of, you can rescue this animal, but stuff like bears and stuff like that, do not try to self-rescue a bear or an aggressive animal like a fox or a coyote. You need to call, like you said, Friends of the Feathered and Fury Wildlife Center or another wildlife center to get help for that, because that's out of there. And like, anything else you guys want to add about this amazing rescue? I should have named a beer after the duck.
Seriously, I mean, that's a great idea. Yeah, we should mention it. But it's so funny because after that, I mean, it's been like 4 years. Every time we see Mike, he most of the time will be like, "So, have you rescued any geese recently?" And I ran into Ken and Brews, I should say. I just love how it all comes together, right? Right. Just last month, and he was asking me how's Mookie doing. I mean, so it is definitely story that besides the feel good part as far as saving an animal, just great conversation starter, or that's how kind of people's remember you by, because it was just such a crazy story. It's just not a bird you expect to see in the burial forest.
Of course, especially on like an icy day like that. Maybe in the summer or something like that, for it to take a spot to chill or something like that. Like, man, I need to rest from flying, but up in the freaking 3,500 area, it's just absolutely insane. Excellent. Jake, you want to add anything?
No, I think that just about covers it. Just obviously want to thank Missy for what she did, and just shout out to Friends of the Feathered and Furry Wildlife Center. I know you've talked with, who did you talk? Was it Dave? Is that her husband? You talked with him. They do great work with all sorts of animals, including birds of all sorts, especially eagles.
Eagles and bears are their specialty.
Yeah, exactly. So, but she knew just what to do when we brought in a brand goose. So perhaps it wasn't her first time.
No, probably. Yeah, and I guess I will add on, since just it all will be very circular. Friends of the Feathered and Fury are one of the local organizations that the club donates and supports on an annual basis, right? And the donations that we do would not be possible without member fees and contributions. So thank you to all the aspirants and members who pay their dues and contribute, because basically it's like your money that allows us to support local organizations. Correct.
It's our money that that you're putting back into the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So excellent. So what about now that we're kind of done with the big goose rescue, heroic goose rescue on Westkill Mountain, post hike brews and bikes, you want to plug in some places? What's your favorite place in the Catskills to have something to eat?
Well, I like the Mexican restaurant in Kingston, actually, that we went to for our star dinner. That's pretty good. Skytop, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not really in the Catskills. It's sort of on the way out, but I always enjoy a good enchilada plate there. There's many good places to eat, but if you're coming back east, you could do a lot worse. Skyview Mexican restaurant.
That's a good one. I enjoyed that very, very much too, as well.
Yeah. Good margaritas. Yeah.
Sure. I have a few, since I will double up, since when I was talking to you last time, we didn't have this awesome picture. So I was thinking about it, which places I would plug. So along the 28 corridor, Obviously, Brews, that's everyone's favorite, goes without saying. But then also Picamoose. Honestly, for the longest time, we thought it was just like really fancy. And then one day I went after the hike, and I just love it there. It's fantastic. You can have a fancy dinner there, but you can also sit by the bar, or in the summer sit outdoors. Just amazing people, and they constantly very hiker friendly too. So definitely would recommend. And finally, I was so excited. Over the summer, I made it to Russian Mule, which is like 2 minutes from the new Red Hill Trailhead in Clareville.
Nice.
So it's a brewery and a restaurant. So they do have only kind of your limited weekend hours, so you have to plan accordingly. Basically, if you're planning a long bushwhack out of Neversink, probably you're not going to make it to Russian Mule. But if you go and hike just Red Hill, that's the place to go.
I mean, if you're Phil Vondra, you can make it there.
Well, yes, I'm talking about, mere mortals, especially if you like to talk and stop and smell the roses. Yeah.
Catch geese.
Yeah. And then if you're hiking in the northern Catskills that I call home on the weekends, Chicken Run on Route 23 is like a really great place to go to fill up, especially if you're traveling back up north from Lexington. And then if you're hiking in Maple Crest or doing trail maintenance in Blackhead region, Zach's in Maple Crest, it's just like as soon as you get into town, it's right there. And nice. I think they're only open during the week. So, Stash, for you, it would be a good place to try because obviously you tend to sometimes hike on Tuesdays. So, fantastic burger. Check it out.
Nobody's open on the weekdays. That's unfortunate for me on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Try Zach's. They're open.
Awesome. I will plug all those into here. So excellent. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us once again. It was fun.
Good to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very grateful that I know you guys as friends and that I've worked with you before. So I'm glad to have you on the show as many times as I can get you on there.
Love the show. So great to contribute. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to the monthly supporters. Really appreciate it. Thank you to sponsor Outdoor Chronicles Photography. Appreciate it. Thank you to all those who've given a coffee or a rum and coke. That one dude gave me a rum and coke. That's one time. Good point. Once again, thank you, Jake and Yana, for joining me tonight on episode 59 of Inside the Line of Catskills.
Thank you, Stash.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys. Merry Christmas. Holy shit. Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Totally. Yeah. That's like in 4 days.
Christmas.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey, Stash.
Hey, guys. I just want to thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and throw down a smooth review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform that you use. You can also check daily updates of the podcast, hikes, hiking memes, and local news on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the official website of the show. Remember this, you just keep on living, man. LIVIN.